I've started.
So with the permission of our distinguished guest, I would like to start the session.
एक second,
So,
Shruti. Let
yeah,
me
ma'am, sure. Yeah.
हाँ,
Done.
make sure
We are
that
live now. We are live now.
I'll begin then. On behalf of School of Business and Law, Navrachna University, I, Shivani Kinniwadi, and my co-anchor, Tarush Bandari, extend a very warm welcome to our distinguished guest, Professor Benjamin Davis, Professor of Law at University of Toledo College of Law, Ohio, USA, Dr. Vijay Kumar, Vice Chancellor, National Law Institute, University, Bhopal, Dr. Shanta Kumar, Director, Gujarat National Law University, and our Provost, Dr. Nilay Yaganik. We are extremely honored to have you all with us. I also extend a very warm welcome to Dr. Hitesh Bhatia, Associate Dean, School of Business and Law, Dr. Sujata Patil, Principal and Associate Professor of Law, all faculty members, research scholars, and students of various esteemed law institutes across the country. A very warm good morning to one and all present here. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to this year's International Virtual Conference on interface between law and technology, organized by Navrachna University in association with our knowledge partner, Center for Law and Technology, GNLU. The beginning of every event is marked by traditional auspicious lamp lighting ceremony as a tribute to Goddess Saraswati, who represents the free flow of wisdom and consciousness. A ray of light is a ray of hope. With that note, let's begin with the lamp lighting ceremony.
Tarush, I think the audio has not been.
So when you share the file, you just select the option called
Just do it once again.
include the computer sound or system
Yeah.
sound. You can stop sharing and then share once again.
Yeah. Tarush, just do it again.
Tarus, right now please stop sharing. Then when you share once again, you'll get options on the left hand side bottom corner. Tick one tick saying that include the system sound. Please click on that.
Is it audible?
No. Taru, you have to tick that include system sound.
We did that.
Just did that, sir.
So just click on the share green color button first.
Okay.
Now, do you see on the left hand side bottom corner there is one tick saying that include system sound, computer sound.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, tick that box, and then now click on the share screen.
Okay. Just a minute.
Yeah.
कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः
leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. Today we have with ourselves our provost, Dr. Nilay Yagnik sir. Dr. Nilay Yagnik has done instrumentation engineering from BITS Pilani, MMS from Narsi Munji Institute of Management Studies, Mumbai, and PhD from University of Mumbai. He has over 13 years of experience in the IT industries with companies such as Wipro, Infotech, Digital HP, and Mastic, to name a few. He has over 27 years of teaching experience. He has mentored several technology startups and serves as the advisory board of several organizations. He has several years of academic leadership experience, including the position of dean and director of several leading institutes in Mumbai. He was a professor and the chairman of the Information Systems area at the Narsi Munji Institute of Management Studies, Mumbai. He has several publications to his credit at national and international level. He is also an alumnus of the Harvard Business School Global Colloquium and on participant-centered learning held in Boston, USA. Sir, it is an honor for us to have you here. Kindly grace this auspicious occasion with your kind words.
Thank you, Tarush. On behalf of Navrachna University, I welcome all the participants to today's international conference on the interface between law and technology. Dr. Vijay Kumar has joined us from Bhopal, the Vice Chancellor of the National Law University in Bhopal. Dr. Shanta Kumar, who is always a source of inspiration and support to us. I thank you so much, sir. And I'm also extremely grateful to Dr. Benjamin Davis, who's joined us live all the way from Toledo, Ohio. And it's almost 11:30 in the night over there. But Dr. Benjamin Davis has been very kind enough to accept our invitation and enlighten us with his thoughts. This particular topic is a very interesting topic and very relevant today, because technology is one thing which is moving by leaps and bounds. And many times what happens is the law is sometimes finding it difficult to keep pace with technology, with the result that there are people who try and misuse the loopholes in the law and leverage technology accordingly. The law necessarily has to keep pace with technology. Ideally, should even go above, should go forward, and should go in front of technology. Because technology as such, there is a pattern, and one can predict the way in which one is going. Whether it is in the blockchain, or whether it's e-commerce, or whether it is artificial intelligence, this trend will continue for some time. And there is a certain pattern which you may be able to predict for the next range of technology that may come up. Therefore, it is also equally important that law should be able to map the needs of society through because of the changes that are happening in technology. And that is why this particular conference today will deliberate on such issues. I must congratulate Dr. Sujata Patil, she and her team of law, the law program, has managed to get so many papers, very good papers, almost 70 papers from around India. And internationally, we have, of course, Dr. Davis, who is joining us. So it is truly an international conference, and I do hope that the proceedings of this conference will later on be published and will form as a learning for not only all the participants, but for several people down the line, both in India and abroad. I wish this conference all success, and thank you so much for inviting me, and my best wishes once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening words. We are honored to have you here with us. Now, I would like to begin with a quote for our next introduction, a quote by John Maxwell. A pessimist complains about the wind, optimist tries to change it, and a leader adjusts the sails. The sails for this particular notion were adjusted by none other than our Associate Dean, Dr. Hitesh Bhatia. Dr. Hitesh Bhatia has completed his PhD and MCom in Business Economics from Maharaja Sayaji Rao University of Baroda. Sir has also completed his postgraduate diploma in Export-Import Management from Indian Institute of Export, Baroda. and Masters of Business Administration in Marketing from Vinayaka Missions University, Salem, Tamil Nadu. Dr. Hitesh Bhatia has over 18 years of experience in teaching and academic coordination. He has worked with several prestigious universities and is serving as an Associate Dean of School of Business and Law at Navrajna University, Baroda. I would like to welcome Dr. Hitesh Bhatia and I request Sir to address the virtual gathering. Sir, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shivani. And at the outset, I would like to welcome and greet Professor Benjamin and also Professor Vijay Kumar for their gracious presence at this virtual conference on law and technology at School of Business and Law, Navrajna University, Baroda. Welcome you, sir, and thank you so much for taking time out and gracing this very occasion. And we are also thankful to our Provost and Vice Chancellor, Professor Nilay Yagnik. It is under his guidance and motivation that we are able to constantly, encourage a lot of productive academic events in our university, which are in the larger interest of society also, as the deliberation and the discussions influence a lot of participants beyond the university. And of course, to our young students and young faculty who also contribute to such events and activities. And as sir rightly said, that the time is very correct for hosting this kind of deliberation on law and technology interface. Because post-COVID, we are seeing that how technology is overshadowing almost all the aspects of human life now, whether it is profession or business or society at large. And the importance of the law will go on increasing to ensure that there is social justice, to ensure that there is no misuse of technology, whether it is healthcare, banking, media, you name the industry and the sector, and you will find that how technology has penetrated now, and it would not be possible to eliminate this. It is going to be the way of life, and thus the need of law to be in the forefront is far more than what it used to be in the past. So I look forward to very fruitful discussion and deliberation on various academic interest and research that is being going to present today. And we are hopeful that these deliberations will also put a lot of positive impact on the young students who are being part of this, because ultimately they are going to enter the field of law as a profession, as a researcher, as an academician very soon. So we look forward to a very productive day ahead, and I congratulate the team head by Dr. Sujata Patil and all the faculty colleagues over here in the School of Business and Law at Navrajna University for hosting this particular conference today. So I wish my all the best to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your words of wisdom. Now we have with us Dr. Sujata Patil, ma'am, the principal and professor of School of Business and Law, Navrajna University. Dr. Patil's journey in academics started from 2005 till date. She has worked in several reputed institutions in Bangalore. She has held key faculty positions in different institutions, and she has a specialization in the corporate law and the IPR. She was the member of the governing council and chairperson and member of different committees like Grievance Academic, to name a few, at several reputed colleges in Bangalore, to name a few. Dr. Patil has published extensively in peer-reviewed Impact Factor Journal of national and international repute. Apart from academic exposure, she has also practiced 1 year of law in High Court of Karnataka, Bangalore. She has several awards to her name: Distinguished Woman Administrator International Award in 2016 and Best Young Teacher 2016, to name a few. Ma'am, it is an honor for us to have you with us as a principal. Kindly grace this occasion with your words.
Fine. Thank you, Tarush. Am I audible? Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am, you're audible.
Yes. Good day, and to one and all who are present over here. I take this opportunity to welcome each and everyone who are a part of today's respected distinguished guest of today's event, Professor Benjamin, Professor of Law, University of Toledo, USA, Professor Vijay Kumar, sir, Vice Chancellor of National Law University, Bhopal, Professor Nilay Yagnik, Provost and Vice Chancellor of Navrajna University, Mr. Rajesh Talati, Registrar of Navrajna University, Professor Hitesh Bhatia, Head of School of Business and Law, Navrajna University, and all invited resource people who are going to chair the technical sessions. And at the same time, I extend welcome to all the participants who have shared their research paper and who are going to be a part. And today they are going to put forth their discussion in the technical session. And also the faculty colleagues and my dear students. Fine. The task assigned to me by the organizing committee, my student and my faculty colleague, is to just share a brief or give a brief introduction about the conference. Okay. First, I would like to share about the theme of the conference, law and technology. Why do we choose this theme? That I just want to make it clear. See, friends, as we all know that, and we all encountered, and we all faced a situation, a bad time, and still we are not completely out of this situation. That is what we say, pandemic. I mean, COVID-19 pandemic situation. After this pandemic, I think we all noticed that our like the day, how it starts our day with a cup of tea in the morning. Now our day starts with the technology. We are dependent on the technology, from the school going children till the professional. Everyone, each and every students are attending on virtual platform. We are delivering the lecture on the virtual platform. Even office work, professional work, everything now it is on virtual platform. And this is how we need to realize that the vital role played by the technology in this pandemic time. This is one factor which triggered in our mind, why don't we put forth this year 2020 conference on the concept called technology connecting to the law. And the second factor, what I want to say, that as we all know that the advancement of technology has changed the lifestyle, the changed the entire the whatever we are into. If you go back, gone were the days from, I think, from Stone Age, we just stepped to the industrial age. From industrial age, now we are into technological age or technological era, and we don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. That is how we are into now in the present technological world. Prior to the advent of this internet or social media, as we all know, people were under the belief that the world is what is that, that's a physical world, and the laws that were existing is just the laws were meant in accordance with the physical world. But now we are into the technological world. From technological, as I said, from physical world, now the social media has come into the picture. Gradually we move to the social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. So these are all the platform we started using, communicating from the physical world. Now we move to the social media world. And when we move to the social media world and we encountered couple of issues, challenges, problem, even our existing laws were not in a position to provide the solution. And we amended the law, and we started providing the solution for all this social media platform. In same way, if you notice recently, I think right now, Professor Nilay sir or Professor Bhatia, they just shared in this the present era, we are noticing a new kind of technologies are coming into the picture, and they are in pipeline, like AI technology, artificial technology, blockchain technology, 3D technology. These are all in a pipeline now. And if I take AI, artificial intelligence, it is already started gradually moving, and a couple of different sectors. If you take like banking and financial sector, health sector, automobile industries, AI is already started playing its role. If not in our country, developing country, if you look at the developed countries, and now the people are fast focusing on the AV, I mean autonomous vehicle. To put it in a simple terminology, I can say that the days are there, we are approaching near, where there we are coming out with the vehicles without driverless vehicle, I can say. Here comes, I just want to share from the legal point of view, if autonomous vehicle come into the market, or if something goes wrong, if we met with an accident or whatever it may be, whom should be held responsible? Either the manufacturer, nor the owner, the one who is operating with the remote, and he said that I'm not driving the car, I'm not driving the vehicle. And here, if you want to make liability, it is not the manufacturer or the owner of the car. There is a big list of number will fall in line: quality control, software people, technical people. And and here comes the blaming each other. The manufacturer says there is no wrong on my part. And on the other way around, the owner says that I am operating as per the guidelines given by the manufacturer. Whether we can make a technology liable under the law? Do our existing law ready to provide the solution for this kind of situation? No. As of now, it is silent. This is how here comes when we talk about the accident, we have the law that is called Motor Vehicle Accident, or Motor Vehicle Accident Act, or a law. But that deals with the physical, not with the technological. Here comes the changing or amending our existing law. If you take in the same line, as I said, AI is also entered into the medical or a health sector. Robotic surgery, or the doctors are also dependent on diagnosing the whatever the issues or the problem that the patient is having. And based on the report given by the technology, the doctor is going to operate on the patient. If something goes wrong, whether we should hold doctor responsible, and the doctor says, based on the technological report, I have operated, and we are playing with the life of the people. So this is how technology, one hand we have a technology, on the other hand, here comes, when we talk about the doctor or the medical negligence, here comes the couple of law into the picture: health law, medical law. And we are going to hold the doctor liable for the medical negligence before the court of law under the Consumer Protection Act. But all these laws, what I'm talking, consumer law, health law, everything is silent. Yes, now it's a challenge for us to change. As the technology is coming into the picture, we need to change, we need to adopt as for the changing scenario. And what I want to say is, one hand, of course, the development or advancement of technology is one the best part from the progress of the nation. We need to consider it. On the other hand, we should be ready with the system. I mean to say, it is a challenging not only to the rest of the other sector, even for the legal system. We need to have a law. We need to have a set of rules and regulations, regulatory authorities, monitoring authorities, supervisory, everything we need to see to it. Then and then only, if we introduce the new things into the system, we can balance. Because when the new things comes, if we encounter with the problems, the ultimately the solution is people will approach to the law. Under the law only, they should get a justice. Okay, that is how this is now challenging to us also to keep amending or changing. With this two example, I just want to share that in today's, in our conference, taking a theme, law and technology, the interface between law and technology. Your technology has really it has imposed a lot of challenges, even as I said, for the legal system. There are a lot of changes that we come across in the different areas of law. But as it is a one day conference, we cannot focus each and every area of law. We just selected a couple of areas of law for the today's discussion. Constitutional, like connecting constitutional law with the technology, IPR with the technology, cyber space with the technology, environmental law with the technology, jurisprudence. These are all the sub themes which we have identified important themes, because we noticed that there is a need for amendment, need for the change because of technological advancement. So all this important, some 10 to 11 sub themes we have selected, and thank that we received the papers from all these sub themes which we have been identified. And right now, Provost has said, we received, I think, more than 70 research paper for the today's one day conference. This is, I feel proud about that. And with this note, I say that thank you one and all for giving me, and all the best for all the participants, I mean, who are going to share the paper in the different technical session. And one more thing I just want to add, as right now I said, even the technical sessions are going to be chaired by eminent professors from the different institutions. From Nirma University, we have a professor. From JNLU, we have a couple of professors. From MS University, from Christ University, from virtual law school, even Nandimat Law College, Karnataka. There are so many eminent people are also going to chair as a resource persons in the today technical session. I hope it is going to be enlightening and informative sessions. Uh, wish you all the best for the today's event, and also I wish all the best for all the participants who are going to present the paper. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am, for your enlightening words and your constant support. Now, I'm delighted to have been given this opportunity of welcoming our keynote speaker, Professor Benjamin Davis, from University of Toledo College of Law, Ohio, USA. Professor Benjamin Davis is a graduate of Harvard College in Bachelor of Arts, Harvard Law School in Juris Doctorate, and Harvard Business School in Masters of Business Administration, where he was also an article editor of Harvard International Law Journal. Professor Davis teaches in the areas of contracts, commercial law, alternate dispute resolution, arbitration, public international law, international business transactions, 3L extended bar preparations, prior to which he was jointly a faculty as an associate professor at the Texas A&M University School of Law. Between 1983 and 1986, he worked in Paris, France as a development consultant in West Africa and as a strategic business consultant with Mars and Corporation in Europe. In 1986, he became the American legal counsel at the International Court of Arbitration of the International Chamber of Commerce, where he supervised directly and indirectly over 5,000 international commercial arbitrations. In the year 1996, he was promoted to Director of Conference Programs and Manager of the Institute of World Business Law, where he organized training sessions and international contracts, dispute resolution, project finance, and electronic commerce. He is the creator of Fast Track International Commercial Arbitration and the creator of international competitions for online dispute resolution. Professor Davis is a former chair of the American Bar Association section of dispute resolution. He is also a board member of the Society of American Law Teachers, ABA Council for Racial and Ethnic Diversity in the Educational Pipeline, the ABA Standing Committee on Law and National Security, the subcommittee chair for the Arbitration Competition for ABA Law Student Division Competition Committee, helping to develop the arbitration moot court of the ABA. Professor Davis has also given numerous presentations and speeches around the world. He's a contributing editor at Jurist. He has also published dozens of articles on topics related to international and domestic arbitration, online and offline dispute resolution, and international law. He has submitted an amicus curiae in the support of respondents in the Supreme Court of USA. In 2019, Professor Davis has received the Champion of Change Award for Arbitral Women, the International NGO of Women ADR Practitioners. Sir, it is indeed an honor to have you here with us today, and we thank you for taking out your precious time from your busy schedule. We are delighted to have you here with us, sir. I request you to please address the virtual gathering. Sir, please.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me well? Is that
Yes,
okay?
sir. Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, first, I'd like to thank Dr. Patil for contacting me about this opportunity, and I thank all of my colleagues on this panel and the distinguished colleagues who have spoken before for this opportunity. And I thank you as the mistress of ceremonies for your putting all of this together. As I was a director of conference programs, and those were in physical world, not the physical, not in the virtual world, but I appreciate greatly the task. So I salute you. So I am, the topic of this conference is wonderfully interesting and broad, and I see that from Dr. Patil's presentation that the number, range of issues of law and technology that are going to be addressed in the 70-odd papers will really be a wonderful intellectual journey. So for my comments today, coming from my experience, really I have a three-word idea that I will explore a little bit. It is a concept that I came to, or from a friend of mine, which was, it's called confusing the algorithms. That is what I hope is, can we meditate on a little bit with regards to the various developments that are going on. And what does confusing the algorithms mean? Well, what the hope of that phrase for me is that as technology evolves, as it moves at this rapid pace, as we have to adjust to these different types of environments in which we operate and are very comfortable in, we have to also keep in mind our peculiar humanness, our humanity, and our qualities as human beings in terms of connecting with each other, and what are things that we gain, what are things that we lose. And so on occasion, you can have these very powerful supercomputers that are analyzing what we are doing in our social media and trying to increase our engagement, so to speak, through various methods and all that. And all I'm trying to say is that it is wonderful if on some occasions we can confuse the algorithms in those machines. I use the term algorithm also not to only talk in terms of machine language or the kinds of things you hear about in the technology space, but really I'm using that term also to think about the various, we might call them ways of thinking or algorithms that we have in the law. Like what are the algorithm for what is a contract, or the algorithm for what is a breach, i.e. the elements that have to be examined, or what is a tort, those kinds of things. In other words, we have kind of these algorithms of legal rules that are developed primarily in the physical space over many centuries. And one of the things that I think that the technology is doing is that it is, in some sense, confusing some of those algorithms about the kind of issues that Dr. Patil talked about, who the driverless car, where is the liability going to lie, and things like that. So we have these algorithms that we have in the law, all kinds of different aspects of the law, constitutions written at times when the technology was not like it is now. And so the impact of the technology on what different types of rights and principles of natural justice, what is a crime, all those kinds of things come in to have us have to think in the context of our national constitutions, or unwritten, as to what are the particular rights and duties of each citizen in that setting. And the technology comes in and changes things, and have to maybe reinterpret concepts as compared to what was thought of the people at the time that they drafted the Constitution, who had no idea we would be in places like this. So in part of this idea of confusing the algorithms, that I also would like to speak to is, I don't know, about 25 years ago, there's a very distinguished professor at Harvard who wrote a book that was many people called a seminal book called Code is Law, the idea of the coding that is done in the creation of these environments. That code is really the law. Well,
Excuse me, can you please, hello everybody, can you please mute Zishan? Please mute Zishan.
Okay. So this book was called Code is Law, and it was kind of a very big book at the time, and sort of one of those books that a lot of people were talking about and writing articles about. And the thing that I want to say is that I don't think that really code is the law. I think really that what is the law is the contract. The contract and the freedom of contract that we have in all these relationships, whether you're an employee of a big tech company, whether you're licensing intellectual property from somebody to do something, whether you have a social media where you have to accept terms and conditions to be able to participate in it, all that is the contractual relationship that is set up within the freedom of contract that's available. And it's really the great thing about contract, I think personally, is that the amount of flexibility. I like to tell my students that I think that thanks to contracts, this whole internet environment has been developed. All these places where we didn't have rules that could be clearly applied of this jurisdiction or that jurisdiction. Well, the contractual language, the terms and conditions become essentially the law between the parties, even if they've made a choice of law. Now, you have these contracts that are out there, and you can look in the financial sector, you can look in all of the venture capital, any area where you are interacting with technology. My argument is that underlies that is some type of contract that provides sort of the structure for how the relationship to create that space is done. And as you can see, the one thing about contract also is it's malleable, so that as technology changes, the terms of the contract can be modified, which can be for good or for bad. Now, with this kind of flexibility from contract, obviously disputes arise between contractual partners, and the courts, if they're there, or the arbitral tribunals, they have a first task of trying to deal with this dispute that has arisen, which can be very similar to disputes in other types of areas, non-technological, but still, you're basically having the issue of whether a performance occurred. If not, was there a breach? Is there an excuse? All those kinds of things. For example, right now, all over the world, with the result of the pandemic, there's been the issue of impracticability and excusing performances. That's actually a big issue right now with regards to a vaccine that the EU is trying to had a contract with. I think it's AstraZeneca. So these issues of contract are operating all over the place with all kinds of these different technologies, and courts have to come and resolve them. And we have the judges who are confronted with these very new, sophisticated technologies. And then you have also arbitrators where parties can choose the arbitrators for the sophistication of it in understanding the technologies. And that becomes part of the analysis to determine whether there is a breach and what kind of remedy can happen. Now, all these contractual setups that are there, for the most part, are basically one-sided contracts, at least for us customers, us clients. For example, with Facebook, I can't negotiate with Facebook about what will be the terms that are there, and they change their terms every once in a while. But another aspect of this that is really interesting is that there's your intellectual property. Whatever you put up, your pictures of going someplace or being out with friends and all that, and that you realize after a little bit of time that what they're trying to do with their sophistication is to keep you more engaged. The more engaged you are, the more advertising, that's the revenue stream that they can get going towards you. And they try to affirm you in your kind of beliefs so that you stay engaged. Well, we can see that that can work, but the and it's worked very well. I think Facebook has 2 billion members. But the problem, of course, can be that these technologies that are affirming whatever a person's bizarre or reasonable beliefs are will keep bringing forward more bizarre or more reasonable beliefs depending on what the person is doing. And so there is a concern that you have sort of different realities that are starting to be done. It's one of the reasons why in my particular Facebook page, I have all kinds of people who are members, and I don't unfriend anybody just to have the diversity of views there to impact me. But if I could go to one other aspect of this, it's that as we ride or as we work on this technology innovating place as lawyers, I think the thing is to think in terms of, are you capable of retaining your flexibility in front of the law rules in addressing these evolutions in technology? You should not fear the technology. You should rather try to see where it's going ahead. For example, we've heard a lot about Bitcoin and things like that right now. Okay, well, there's going to be something beyond Bitcoin. There's going to be blockchain, beyond blockchain. There's something around the corner. I don't know what it will be, but to be open to that is one of the skill sets. And if you can see it even better, one of the skill sets to develop, especially for you younger lawyers. These older people like me, we're a little hesitant about all the technologies or something. And you can become the expert wherever you are in what that area of technology is to help the people understand how to deal with things like e-discovery or whatever it is. You become very quickly the master of the topic area, because the people who have lots of experience, but who are not digital natives like you, but we are digital immigrants, in a sense, you can help us and help yourself move ahead very rapidly by being keen and open to those kinds of technological development. So I can't tell you enough. I mean, I remember, I'll go back in history right here. 1989, there was a new president of the ICC court, and he said he wanted to create a case management system for the court. I knew nothing about technology, but I did know that the president of the court, who was new, wanted to have a technological system in place. So he asked, who wants to volunteer? And I was the first one to raise my hand. Yes, I will, and I'll figure it out. And that worked. I worked on it for 4 years. For you technology people in the middle of the project, we went from MS-DOS to Windows in the world of technology. So I hope you realize it was a pretty robust moment, okay? And I've heard it's now in the third generation. I was very proud to hear that the work we did remains robust. 30 years later, I was like, amazed. And maybe they're just being nice to me, but but there I was. I'm a lawyer. Okay, I have a business degree. What I could see and it was a tremendous experience. Learning about conditions of presence and variable data and all these kinds of things. I'm just trying to tell you that took me on a whole path through online dispute resolution, as you can see where I am today. So taking on those kinds of things early are good. Here's another thing. Our courts are forced to go to virtual for hearings and things like that. Now there becomes a question of whether a court needs to really be in a country or it can be anywhere. For example, I think there's a Singapore business court that's been developed in Singapore, where they're accepting to be at court to hear all kinds of cases. You don't have to be a Singapore lawyer to represent them, but in those cases to hear business disputes, transnational business disputes. These are the kinds of things that we could not imagine when we had the image of courts being in a physical place, or even arbitral tribunals sitting in a physical place for a hearing. That's the kind of flexibility that the technology is allowing us. And if you're working in a court or you're advocating as a lawyer before the courts, or in arbitration or in mediation, again, being willing to be flexible with the technology is something. Now, how much time do I have left? Because I would like to go to one more subject, if that is okay. Is that okay?
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Okay. All right. So one of the other things, you saw in that reading of my resume, I always listen to that resume and I'm like, who was that guy? I don't feel like that guy. I just feel like I'm now 65, but I did do some work in law and national security with the standing committee of the ABA. And so this is another level of this of technology that you have to have a sense or sensitivity to. I met the head of he used to be the director of national intelligence, Michael Hayden, in one of these presentations. And he said that, when the internet exploded and all this data got created that was out there, they wanted all of it. Okay. They want everything. And they were going to store it somewhere. And they have these huge computers with everything, in the world basically being stored somewhere, not necessarily looked at right away, but stored. And then, depending on what the need was at a point, that, you have these other technologies like Palantir and all that, I don't know what they are, that can go back and look through things. All right. So just imagine that vision of the entire internet of wanting to have it as a national security thing, have everything that everyone does stored. All right. So all of a sudden, there are conversations that you're sitting here in a coffee shop with someone, as opposed to our Zoom conversation here. This Zoom conversation, in some sense, somewhere in the world, is probably being stored, obviously with Zoom, but also who knows where. And so, you become aware of the impact of the national security apparatus of each state, depending on its level of sophistication and its access to what we're all doing here. Like one person commented that, if you thought that people would walk around and have the government be able to identify where they are at any time voluntarily, you would think that was crazy. But yes, with our cell phones, everyone can know where our GPS is. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is that behind the screen, and I don't have security clearances and all that, we also have to keep in mind that there's a vast amount of data that is being looked at by governmental entities. And so that has an impact also on how this technology and law operates. And the law of national security, that is another aspect of this that it's very difficult to understand. But if you think of it from the point of view of the Director of National Intelligence here in the United States, basically wanting to have everything in the tsunami of technology, then you get a sense of how broad the space for that national security aspect is. So in all of this, you could get a little scared, I think, or intimidated by all of this powerful companies that are able to dictate terms and contracts the kinds of technology developments that are happening. You know, I heard someone talk about, for example, with these private companies that are going up into space, we will, instead of talking about oil barons or I don't know, or wood barons, we will start talking about space barons, all right? A whole nother level of issues that arise out in space. So with all this stuff, it can be very daunting and kind of intimidating, I think, to people to try to grapple with all of these things. So my sense personally that I wanted to share, and this is particularly with the students, is that, you know, when you go into the ocean to swim, you know, you can either be thrown around by the waves, or maybe you get on a surfboard and you can surf the wave. And if you get very good, you surf the wave well, or you swim strongly and you can go against the current, you can go with or against the currents. And so taking that image with this change that's going to come, just understand as sometimes many people say, the only constant will be change. And so that the law will change in reaction to the technology, and the technology will be forced to adjust to any legal rules that are laid out. I'll give you an example that's just happened recently is there is something called Facebook Court, which is about evaluating when Facebook takes down information. Facebook has said that it will comply with the decisions of this court. This is not a court in the sense of any court that that a state, an India, you know, a court in India or a court in the United States. It's a private entity that is part of Facebook's structure. That's an entity that has power to say whether people are going to be permanently deleted from Facebook or not. You have these things that happen, and all of a sudden you may have to plead for a client in front of a court like that with its different kinds of rules. It can be very disturbing. But one of the things that you have to also keep in mind is that there are powerful companies that can move to get the law changed in terms of statutory law in ways that will favor their position. And you have to watch this kind of thing to see whether there are alternative visions of how that law should develop, and whether you can possibly develop rules that encourage more fairness, more equality, or even if there is a law that is not that is too unfair, to attack it on some ground that you can, as a lawyer, as it's statutorily vague, or it may be a constitutional issue or something like that. But to be willing to engage in this area of contract and this area of technology, I think is vital. I think it is vital, because otherwise you will tend to be essentially treated as a passive person's basically living this experience. One of the areas that I think that should be talked about, and I know one of my students has written a paper on this that I just read that was brilliant, is, for example, with all these entities like the social media that are essentially using you as the product that they're selling to advertising. Well, your intellectual property that they've got contractually set up for you, maybe you should get paid for it. And in some ways, you see on YouTube, if you get to certain numbers of things, you get paid for a YouTube channel or something like that. But you know, the idea that these are maybe more highly regulated entities than they have been in the past, and this sort of Wild West vision, is something that, you know, we should think about. Just because you put up pictures, why don't you get paid? That's an idea that maybe his time is starting to come. And then, of course, there's a whole question about privacy and that. So there's a lot of different algorithms, if I could say it like that, that are going on out there. Don't be bound to any particular algorithm, for they all will change. And I think the great human experience is, and this is where I will close with, is in this ability to confuse them sometimes. I think that there's nothing better than to confuse what people think sometimes and to shake things up. I think the disruptive aspect is good up to a point. Disruption without stability is dangerous, but stability without disruption is maybe a little boring. So with that, I would like to stop, and I'm happy to answer any questions, but I can't tell you how much fun I'm having being part of this, to think that I'm connected to you around the world. This has been one of the benefits or blessings of this pandemic to allow these kinds of connections to first have to happen, and then all of a sudden they can happen. That, I think, is part of the magic of what it is when we confuse the algorithms. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your words. It was really nice of you, and it is an honor. We cannot express in words how lucky we are to hear from you, sir. Thank you, sir, for gracing this auspicious day for us.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you for allowing me to be with you.
Yeah. Any questions? I think Professor Benjamin can take one or two quick questions, if any.
Yeah.
I think in the inaugural session, we should not have this question and
Okay.
answer. If they want, they can send the question through their messaging.
Yeah. Anyway, it's very late for Professor Benjamin. I think it must be around 12, beyond midnight, right?
Let's see here. It's 12:26 after midnight, 26 after midnight.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand. I think Professor Vijay Kumar is already committed with some meeting at 12:15. I think let us proceed with Professor Vijay Kumar's speech. Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Benjamin.
Thank you very much. My honor.
Professor Benjamin, I think you are going to be there till the inaugural session.
Yes, I'm just going to stay on. I'm staying on.
Yeah,
absolutely.
please.
Good.
Please.
Thank
Good.
you.
Okay.
Being a lawyer is not merely a vocation. It is a public trust, and each of us has an obligation to give back to our communities. I take immense pleasure to welcome Dr. V. Vijay Kumar, Sir, Vice Chancellor, National Law Institute, University, Bhopal. Sir, it is an honor for us to have you here today. Sir, I would request you to kindly grace this occasion with your kind words and your words of wisdom.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah, wonderful. Now with authority, I can say good morning even to Benjamin. And I have learned a couple of phrases from Benjamin Davis' presentation. So I am a digital immigrant addressing this gathering. Very nice to have people like you talking on the interface between law and technology and the way that we have to look forward to rather than lag behind. And that's what I'm also going to speak on. Dr. Nile Yajnik, Dr. Sujata Patil, Dr. Hitesh Bhatia, and our overseas colleague, Professor Benjamin Davis, Shivani and Tarush, and the director of Virtual Law School, created in India, Nachiketa. I need not address him with any title. He was my student, so with pride I can say, good morning to everyone. Before it becomes afternoon, I would like to just wind up as early as possible. Now, in this particular theme on law and technology, I hope Professor Davis also will agree with me. There is a lag between technology and law. Technology advances very fast, and it advances so fast, the legislature is not able to cope up with that speed. So they make a law, it becomes archaic within a year or two. And the Information Technology Act in India is almost 2 decades old, though the few amendments have come in. And I don't know with all these amendments whether it can cater to the present day situation or the scenario. So therefore, for a researcher, it is always interesting to look at the widening gap between law and technology. As not necessarily digital immigrant, I was also a digital native in one sense. 1975, I started my first computer programming, Fortran 4.
Oh.
And I was working with a machine, which was like a container, a huge container. And we used to have the key punch operator and everything. And I was, as a law student, I was allowed to do this course, a diploma course, which I did. And I decided that I would not love to work with machine. I would like to work with people. And therefore, I became an immigrant later. So one can see the change, the size of the machine. Today, technology has changed not only in the software, but also in the hardware, the form, in the way in which we utilize these services. And this gap needs to be addressed by not necessarily lawyers, not necessarily by the policymakers, not necessarily by the technologists. It is a growing, not necessarily interdisciplinary, but a transdisciplinary area. And I would congratulate Dr. Sujata Patil for having chosen this topic, because there is no end to it. Tomorrow, if you organize, there may be some other change which we may not even know that will come to limelight. So therefore, this is one area where it can bring the people from various walks of life, practitioners, theoreticians, policymakers, managers, right? Technical experts, so on and so forth, together to understand the nuances in a better manner, so that the gap could be bridged in a much more meaningful manner. And that is my first observation. The second observation is, wherever technology innovates, it is a human mind behind it. It is not technology inventing technology. It is a human brain which is behind technology. And when it is used, it is not able to distinguish between the benefits and the pains, the merits and demerits. They always invent it for the good of the people, the progress of the community. But there is always a shadow, a fallout, in which I think people tend to misuse, or rather abuse, this technology. And that is why the crimes that are being committed in the world today is also increasing simultaneously. And if you get into terms of economics, the loss caused to the individuals, institutions, and companies, they are running to billions of dollars. And therefore, this is also an area for the criminal law, teachers, researchers to look into and fine tune the way that we can address the negatives of the technology, the impact of technology. And I was also carefully going through some of the observations made by the Government of India in a report, and very beautifully they have said it, that from the container type of computer, right, to what you call it as a desktop, a laptop, a tablet, right, a mobile phone, and then what you call it as smartwatch. I do not know. There are billions and billions of transactions that are being done with the help of smartwatches today. And therefore, one must be very, very careful the way in which we use this technology, and the way that we get cheated, right, royally by somebody or the other. And the loss caused to the banks, the financial institutions, and to the individuals. And I think in India, you must have seen in the last 1 or 2 months, there are number of applications that have come up through mobile phone, right? That will give you some loan, right? We'll give you, without any paperwork, anything, we'll give you some loan. They call them, they get the bank details, and that's whatever little money that is left behind is also drained. So therefore, things are going in a wrong direction. We need to measure this, and a conference of this nature will easily address these increasing number of cyber crimes, the financial loss which is growing day by day, and this can be a wonderful platform for what you call it as the research work for the postgraduate students and the doctoral candidates to choose, because by the time they write the thesis, maybe it will become 3-year-old, right? Rather than being current, it will be an old which will be being certified by the institutions. Now, having said this, there are also benefits. Davis has already mentioned about the cryptocurrency, and he was absolutely right. We must be thinking what next. If you're talking about technology and law, because the policy comes in between, what next? And I sincerely appreciate Dr. Davis for this beyond blockchain, beyond AI, beyond everything we have to think. And then you have to confuse the algorithm. What a wonderful way. I don't know whether you're a lawyer or a mathematician to think about all these things. Now, from our side, we have also done a little bit of work. We have done a little bit of work in 2010, sorry. I was appearing before the Department of Information and Communication Technology, right? 10 minutes. I was also attending a presentation where there were 13 different experts from Indian Institute of Science and all technical backgrounds, right? The intention was our application was being considered for creation of a cyber lab at the National Law School, Bangalore in 2010. In January, I was representing the case. All my predecessors were from tech giants, and I was the only one from law school. And they looked at me as if I'm an animal coming from somewhere. And what the law school has to do? And I then very politely I explained to them, you may catch a criminal, the police may catch, the police may not know anything, you have to train them. And you have to train the prosecutors to understand all these algorithms in the language that they can understand. The judges must be trained to understand these evidences created. And therefore, all your efforts will come to a naught if you don't give this cyber lab to the National Law School. And finally, I got it also. I was the first one to get the cyber lab established in NLS way back in 2010. And today, I am very happy to tell you that even the Central Bureau of Investigation, senior police officers, 3 batches of police officers are being trained in the cyber lab established at the National Law School, Bangalore. Having moved to the National Law School, Bhopal, the central government through the MHRD sponsored the Rajiv Gandhi National Cyber Law Center, which was also simultaneously the same period. And they also start a program. Unlike the National Law School, Bangalore, we have only a diploma course. In Bhopal, it is a 2-year postgraduate degree called as Master's Degree in Cyber Law and Information Security. It's MCLIS. And 97% of our students are engineering graduates. They are not lawyers. They are engineering. 95% to 97% of them are engineering graduates. 1 lawyer, 2 or 3 from BSc and MSc. Right? So it's a wonderful mixture if you see. And the demand is increasing. And all the students get placed very well. And let me tell you, in the next, as long as this internet regime is going to continue, my students will have wonderful placement opportunities. So we need to think out of the box to integrate what you call it as different disciplines. I'm eagerly, I'm going to write to Davis a little later as to how to bring it and make it as a transdisciplinary, study, so that everyone can come together and create something which will be beneficial to the community. And AI, for example, it can be used left, right, and center for each and every aspect of human endeavor, right? So we need to invent those areas in which it can be done. At the same time, yesterday I was delivering a valedictory address to an international conference on child sexual harassment. And this is what I said, they shadow the negatives of technology, right? And I think in India today, through social media, they interact with people without telling their age, without telling the real name, and they call them. And I think all types of problems are being faced by the community. We need to avoid all these things, and we need to look at it. And one more challenge was created by the IBM. Dr. Davis must be knowing about this very well. It is called as AI-based robo ROS, right? Which a law firm has hired it. And then it collects information from everywhere, and there is no place for the lawyer to work, right? So this is another issue which I think the profession itself has to think about, the use of robo like ROS. I do not want to take much of your time. Technology and law has benefits, and it has also pains. Our object in all research, in all our publication, which should be rooted to what you call it as enhancing the benefits out of this interface and reduce the pains. And if you are able to do it, I think we would have given something back to our community in which we are living. With these few words, last but not the least, because Professor Davis is there representing the US, one more issue which interests every one of us, not technologists, but the lawyers and the policymakers. When the account of Trump was withdrawn by the social media from the social media platform, the issues of privacy and the issues what this regulator can do, what a private sector can do, These are all areas on which I think we need to discuss in detail and find out and give them a place where they can be regulated and controlled. Otherwise, they will try to control the government. They will try to control each and everything. And I think that is going to be working towards the Hobbesian state of nature.
Yeah.
So therefore, we must be very, very careful. I am very happy to note that there are more than 70 papers submitted to this conference. I eagerly look forward to its publication and hope to receive Dr. Davis at the earliest in India when they are also free from the COVID. And I hope India is a better picture today. We welcome you on behalf of all the institutions involved in this. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to interact with you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Thank
so much, sir, for your enlightening words. And I must say that it was indeed an honor to have you here with us today. And thank you for sparing your precious time and coming here today for this occasion. So before that, Professor Benjamin, like we have a question for you. Would you like to answer it right now?
One second. Sir, just a second.
Yeah, ma'am. Sure.
Shivani, you just asked Professor Vijay Kumar is going to continue or is having a meeting, and then we can proceed
With your
further.
permission, I have a meeting scheduled with the Chief Justice of Madhya Pradesh High Court. I am actually in Jabalpur.
Oh, I see.
I understand, sir. So thank you so much for joining and sharing your valuable words with us. Thank you so much. Okay,
Thanks a
and
lot.
our association will continue even in future with our university. Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Professor Benjamin, it was a pleasure meeting you, interacting with you. I will keep in touch with you.
Yes, please. And all good things. I enjoyed very much your presentation. You're absolutely to me, you're spot on. And to be the interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary, I love that. I thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Professor Vijay Kumar. Thank you, sir.
Welcome, sir.
Please do come to our university.
Yeah, certainly.
Thank you.
Sir, with your permission, can I take your leave?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Actually, I thought Davis would leave first.
This is the closest I get to India. I'm going to stay as long as I can stay awake.
Yes. Shivani, we can move further.
Yes. Yeah, okay, ma'am. Like, would sir, like Professor Benjamin Davis, sir, would like to answer the question, or we can proceed with?
We can proceed. I'm putting the questions in the chat box.
Yeah, okay, sure, ma'am. Okay, so for this year's international conference, we have received about 70 research papers from esteemed law institutes across the country. And so we have compiled all these abstracts into an ebook, which we would be inaugurating shortly. So Provost sir, I seek your permission for the official release of the abstract ebook.
Yes, I'm very honored and pleased to launch this book, the proceedings of this particular conference and the book of abstracts.
Right.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So with that, we come to the end of the inaugural ceremony. So I would like to request our Professor Chandrika ma'am to give the vote of thanks.
Prior to that, 1 second. Is there any questions, or later you are going to take the
There
questions?
are a couple of questions.
Questions you said, no?
If Professor Benjamin is not too, if it's not too late, would you like to?
No problem.
Yes.
Okay, sir. So, yeah. So there is a question for Dr. Benjamin Davis, sir, from a participant, Professor Rajeshwari. She's asking, the way ex-President Trump was banned from the internet, do you see these tech-based companies becoming more and more powerful? And do you see any possibility of these companies dictating their terms in any other similar situations?
Okay. It's hard for me to imagine them being more powerful since they are so powerful already. Okay. But What I would say is that their banning of President Trump after we had our insurrection at our U.S. Capitol on January 6th, their basic argument is it's contractual. There are rules that they've set up in the terms of service, and they get to decide when they consider those rules have been violated. And pretty much it's all private contract in that sense. It's kind of amazing, isn't it, for the head of the government, but his social media presence is a private contractual relationship. And the argument being made by the companies is that he's breached them by inciting the kind of violence that happened, and so they take it down. So in that sense, through contract, they have enormous power. Another example of this is there's a sort of very right-wing web presence called Parler that where a lot of the insurrectionists apparently were talking and all that. And all of the companies, I think Amazon and Google and everyone shut them down in terms of their contracts. And they brought a lawsuit and the court dismissed it very quickly, saying, contracts, you were allowing these things to happen, and they have the power to turn you off if they feel like it. So this is the example for me of how contract space fills in because of its flexibility, and the statutes don't keep up. We don't have statutes really to keep up, or statutes are put in place that really allow a kind of freedom that need to be maybe relooked at with regards to these entities. One view is that these should all be looked at as regulated industries, highly regulated industries, with a great deal of governmental control over them. That's obviously not a very happy thought for the heads of those companies or their shareholders, but there's this recognition that freedom of speech this is part of the freedom of speech space, even though they're private entities. And so it's a debate we have right now. But yes, they can shut you down in a second. I have even gone to Facebook jail sometimes for things I posted on Facebook, where for a few days I could not post anymore. So they have big influence. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, so I think the participant must be satisfied with your answer. So there is another participant who's asking a question. Do you think we need to redefine the definition of medium of communication? And instead of calling internet as the medium, we need to put focus on social media companies as a medium and therefore be made liable. So her basic question is, do you think we need to redefine the definition of medium of communication?
Yeah. Well, I think, yes. I think that any definition that we've had, I think it was Marshall McLuhan said the medium is the message, right? And so the redefining of what the medium is, I think, is inevitable. The idea, for example, of what is the press is being changed. But with regard to the social media companies, I do think that the consistent, or maybe a key, if their goal as a company is essentially your engagement, you're spending more time with them and them selling your information to advertisers as their revenue stream. I think that there's a certain point in time when the amount of information that's being gotten from you, each individual, there should be some remuneration to the actual individuals other than it being aggregated in the social media company. That's maybe counter to what the capitalists who create these companies think. But it just seems that all of this incredible moving exchanges that some people have in online space, that is part of what the human condition is. It should not be sort of intellectual property that automatically goes over to be exploited by the social media companies without compensation to the actual people. It's not just enough to have your little Facebook or Instagram account or something. You should be getting some kind of remuneration for that. I think that and maybe that means some regulation, or that means some kind of a tax scheme that is in there. I don't know, but that's the thing I worry about. But so I don't know if that helps with an answer too.
Yes, sir. I think that would have answered the question.
Okay.
Tarush, over to you.
Yeah. So I would now request our faculty, Mrs. Chandrika Tiwatria ma'am, to give the vote of thanks for the inaugural session.
Thank you so much, Tarush. Honorable Provost Dr. Nilay Yagnik, respected guests, Professor Dr. Benjamin Davis from University of Toledo College of Law, Ohio, USA, Professor Dr. V. Vijay Kumar, Vice Chancellor of National Law India University, Bhopal, Dr. S. Shanta Kumar, Director, Gujarat National Law University, Gandhinagar, our eminent resource persons from various reputed universities, our Associate Dean, Dr. Hitesh Bhatia, and Principal, Dr. Sujata Patil, our most valued participants of the conference, our faculty members, and dear students. I, Chandrika Tevatia Raj, on behalf of School of Business and Law, Navrashna University, consider my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. We have been fortunate to have of renowned identity from academia, Dr. Benjamin Davis from University of Toledo, College of Law. Thank you for accepting our invitation and gracing this occasion, sir. Your enlightening words have definitely resonated with all the participants of this international conference. We are especially thankful to Professor Dr. V. Vijay Kumar, Vice Chancellor of NLIU Bhopal, for gracing the inaugural session of our international conference. Thank you, sir, for taking time out of your busy schedule and enlightening all of us with your kind words. We are always thankful to Professor Dr. S. Shanta Kumar, Director of Gujarat National Law University, for considering the collaboration with Center for Law and Technology as the knowledge partner. A big thank you to Professor Dr. Thomas Matthew, Director of the Center of Law and Technology, and Ms. Hina Goswami, Assistant Professor at Gujarat National Law University, for helping us out at all fronts. We also thank our Provost, Dr. Nilay Yagnik, who has always encouraged and supported us to conduct this international conference. Thank you, sir, for your timeless support. We are always grateful to Dr. Hitesh Bhatia, Associate Dean for School of Business and Law, for his inspiring mentorship. Always thank you to our principal, Dr. Sujata Patil, who has always helped us and supported us at every obstacle. Thank you to both of you. It would not have been possible without both of you. We also like to thank on this outfront to Dr. Nachiket Mittal, the Director for Virtual Law School, who has also helped us and supported us in this conduction of the international conference. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you to Anand sir, Animesh sir, and Dinesh sir for the technical and logistic support that they have extended to us at this international conference. Thank you to all the participants with whom the conference would not have happened. We hope to have a fruitful deliberations during the technical sessions. Well, ladies and gentlemen, an event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheel started rolling weeks ago. It required planning and a bird's eye for details. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated colleagues, Ms. Madhura Thombre, Ms. Stella Joyce, and Mr. Naveen Sinha for always being there. I cannot thank the student volunteers enough for their involvement and their willingness to take on the completion of tasks. Thank you to each and every one of you. You are the pride of this international conference. Once again, I want to state that we are all most grateful to everyone at this international conference. We thank you for being with us this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Benjamin, for enlightening all of us today. I know it's very late for you, but thank you so much.
Sir, Nilay sir, I just want to add one thing, okay, pertaining to Professor Benjamin, okay. Sir, it's indeed, there is no words to say. Thank you so much, Professor Benjamin, for being with us such a long time. And one more thing, Nilay sir, what I want to add, recently Professor Benjamin is connected us with his School of Toledo, School of College of Law Toledo, through this platform only, through a mail. It just connected us to his dean. And in turn, that is going to help us in have a couple of collaborative activities in future pertaining to academic or research, so that this connectivity is going to definitely help to my law student and the faculty in future too. Thank
Very
you.
nice.
Yeah, Benjamin sir, thanks a lot for that. Thanks a lot. Okay.
Thank you so much. You're on mute, Dr. Benjamin. You're on mute.
Okay.
We must keep dialoguing, okay? We must promise to keep because there's too many things going on here that are so interesting. So I hope we can stay in touch, please.
Yes. And also in this platform, I thank Dr. Nachiket, the director of Virtual Law School. He is the one who helped us in connecting to Professor Benjamin. And in turn, Professor Benjamin connected to his dean, to his law school. I think this connectivity and the network will help us a lot to take our law school to the next level. And one more thing I just want to add, Nilay sir, I think the chief guest of our valedictory, Justice Ashok Nijganawar, who is going to join at 3 p.m. Now he also joined for our inaugural. Let us welcome Justice Judge of the High Court of Bangalore. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Welcome.
Ma'am, 1 minute. I think sir has some network issue, so he's
Sir,
joining
there is
again.
some network issue. He is connecting. Let us just. Okay.
Dr. Benjamin, when things open up, do visit us in India.
I promise I will. I really will. Absolutely. In the meantime, we can stay virtual, but we'll get there.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes. Sure.
And we can get you to come to Toledo.
Sure.
And, I think if you will let me take my leave at this point, I think I'm starting to hit that tired moment. So
it's very late for you.
Yeah, it's very late. Yes.
Good night. Good night, doctor.
Okay.
Good
so
night.
Thank you very much, and we will be in touch. All good things to you.
Yes, I think now Justice is. I think he is there. Can you just will welcome him?
Okay.
Justice Nijganawar, Ashok Nijganawar, sir. Could you hear?
Ma'am, I think sir has some network issue, so.
Okay, sir. He is having a network issue. Professor Benjamin, sir, you can take a leave. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, too. We'll be in touch, okay?
Okay, we'll be in touch.
Okay.
I think, sir, there is a network issue. Anyway, at 3 p.m. we are going to meet Justice. He could not connect. I hope so. He's trying to connect, but he could not.
I think, ma'am, shall we conclude then? Yes, we can conclude. I request all the participants to kindly start joining for the respective technical sessions of paper presentation from 11:40 onwards. You are notified in your respective WhatsApp groups for joining.
Madhura ma'am.
Yes, Dinesh sir.
Are you going to close this session now?
Sir, you let me know. We again need it from 3 to 4 for the valedictory. So shall we close the session and rejoin? Or what shall we do?
But then वो वाला YouTube का link फिर अलग हो जाएगा.
Okay. I think sir, then let this continue and let the participants leave.
वो session continue करवाएंगे?
Yeah, the YouTube link will change otherwise, right?
या फिर नया YouTube का link share कर दे दो जो participant और किसी के साथ वो नहीं हो पाएगा.
हाँ sir, वो again I'll have to share. That would be difficult. I think let's continue with this, and I request all the participants to kindly leave and join for your respective technical sessions after 10 minutes of break.
Okay, madam, आप ये session को close मत करना, मेरे को hand over करके session
Sure, sir. I'll make you a host and admit. Yeah.
Thank you. Good day and best wishes.
Yes, thank you, Nilay sir. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Nilay sir.
नहीं बस. नहीं तो मैं राइट ना ही बोल रहा हूँ कि आप अटेंडेंस यहाँ पे मार्क करो और अटेंडेंस को एक्सपोर्ट करने के बाद जो फॉर्मेट जो है ना वो फॉर्मेट में उसको ढालना पड़ेगा अपने को. तो मे बी वो बाद में देखेंगे कैसा करना है, बट एटलीस्ट अटेंडेंस एक्सेल में तो आ जाएगी और असेसमेंट भी एक्सेल में आ जाएगा.
दिए सर. हेलो.
हाँ यस. नहीं वो एक्सेल वो टाइप करते हैं मार्क्स, बट अभी टाइप कर रहे हैं.
दिनेश सर.
राइट. हाँ हाँ वो तो ठीक है.
Dinesh sir?
Right.
Dinesh sir?
हाँ बरोबर right.
Sir, you
right
are the
now
host now, so can we leave then?
ठीक.
Dinesh sir, you are the host now, so can I leave?
नहीं अभी भी ऐसे ही यार, अभी भी जो एंट्री होती है ना तो फैकल्टी अपना, हर एक फैकल्टी अपना खुद का कोर्स का करता है. तो मैं भी क्या करूंगा, सिंस हम लोग ने ये जो एडवांस लेवल का ट्रेनिंग को 2 पार्ट में डिवाइड किया है, मतलब क्विज स्पेसिफिकली क्विज एंड असाइनमेंट आज बात कर रहे हैं, एंड ग्रेड शीट और बाकी जो सब कुछ है वो बाद में बात करने वाले हैं. तो वो टाइम पे उनको बोल देंगे और तब तक मैं फिगर आउट भी कर लूंगा कि भाई ऐसा कोई मैक्रो बना के या कुछ तो करा के, जैसे ये अटेंडेंस आई ना उसको मैक्रो रन किया तो सीधा डायरेक्टली वो ग्रेड शीट या फिर ये अटेंडेंस शीट को डेटा कॉपी करके एक जगह पे पेस्ट करो और उसमें ये एक्सेल में फॉर्मूला डाल के कुछ करके कि वो ईआरपी अपलोडेबल फाइल बन जाए करके, उस टाइप का कुछ वो करा सकते हैं. ठीक है ना, ठीक है तो 2 बजे मिलते हैं ना. या चल बाय, थैंक्स.
Hello. So, sir, I have a query. Should we now leave this room and go on to the presentation room?